Hello everybody, welcome back! So boy, that Minecraft stream was pretty good, right? Whoever that streamer is definitely deserves your love and adoration. But speaking of streamers that deserve your love and adoration, we've got DanTheVP coming up next, playing Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon 2. If you like the Castlevania franchise, you're also gonna love this game. Tell us a bit more about it and about you.
All right, so I am Dan, and good morning. We're going to be jumping into Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. We're going to be running Normal Veteran, which is kind of the vanilla run of this game. There's a little bit easier category you can run. There's also a harder category you can run, but this is the most kind of faithful to the retro roots of Curse of the Moon 2. So we are going to go ahead and jump on in. Time is going to start when we get control of Zangetsu, who is the main character. I'll try to give a countdown into that. So we're going to choose episode 1, normal, veteran. You can even play this with 2 players. Alright, so we're going to be starting here in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so as you can tell, this is a sequel, being as it's Curse of the Moon 2. Curse of the Moon 1 was a Kickstarter donation incentive from Inti Creates as they were fundraising for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is more of a Symphony of the Night style Metroidvania, if you will. So Curse of the Moon just kind of sprang up, and it was extremely well received. The speedrun is a lot of fun, and you should definitely check that one out as well. In this game, we're following the continued story of Zangetsu, who is our bright red demon-slaying friend, as he, slays demons and the like. Kind of a quintessential part of the Curse of the Moon franchise, as well as some of the Castlevania games that inspired it, is the fact that we're going to unlock some allies on our journey. We're going to get 1 per level until we've got a total of 4, and we're going to have all 4 of them for the rest of the run. Those allies are a big part of the normal speed run, as they all have different abilities we can grab for them, as well as they all handle differently. One can crawl, one can jump big, one of them is a dog, so gotta get all the bases covered. On the veteran difficulty, the biggest difference we see here is that we're going to take knockback when we take damage. On the casual difficulty, you still take about the same amount of damage, just don't get knocked backwards or forwards, which actually makes there's a couple of parts of the casual run that are technically longer because we utilize the knockback to reach some high ledges. But we're just quickly making our way through this introductory stage. I can't say enough about how I love the visual aesthetic of this game. Curse of the Moon 1 was great, and they really stepped up all of the pixel art and animations for Curse of the Moon 2, so shout out to Inti Creates. We're going to see our first boss fight here, which all of the bosses in this game are pretty unique. We get a big kind of set piece boss for the end of every stage. This is an amalgamation of things, the Drago symbiote. We're going to use our sub-weapon here, this Demon Charm, and Zangetsu's sword to just, poke it in its face tongue, is the thing that it has. Most of the characters have a few different sub-weapons we can grab. The first 3 characters are all going to have 3 different sub-weapons. And the final character we grab, which is that dog, Hachi, he's going to have 1 sub-weapon, and it's going to be an invulnerability. Kind of a shield, because he's a dog driving a mech. Why doesn't he also need to also be invincible? So this is Dominique, our first ally. I have not actually played Ritual of the Night, but I do know that this is not canon. Things these people do apparently are wildly different than what they would do in Ritual of the Night and maybe who they would associate with. So if you know Dominique from another game, this is a completely different Dominique. But Dominique can jump real high and has a big spear, so we're going to utilize her a lot in this level. I really like how the game takes the time, and the levels are very kind of uniquely designed that after we grab a new character, the next level kind of features that character. And towards the later game, we kind of are going to key into a couple of the same characters and movement mechanics quite a bit. So it's nice in these earlier levels to really get to show off what some of these characters like Dominique can do. Her base attack damage is a little bit less than Zangetsu, so we're not going to use her too much outside of for platforming prowess. It should also be mentioned that the jump in this game are not variable at all. So a character like Dominique that jumps a little bit higher is also going to jump a little bit further. And once you make that leap, kind of a leap of faith, as I like to call jumps in these retro and retro styled games, because once you press that button, you're going to go as far as that jump takes you in that direction, and as high as that jump wants to take you. We try to hope for some good RNG in this axe thrower, and we do not get it. Gotta a little bit slower here to make it through without taking damage. There's a couple of RNG spots in this level that we want to make sure we've got enough health to take the damage if we get hit. And this guy can hit us. Luckily, he decided not to. We're going to pick up this permanent upgrade. There are a few of those throughout this run. That one specifically increases our total weapon points, which is can easily be mistaken as mana or magic. That's what powers our sub-weapons. Alright, so we've got right at 28 out of 30 for our weapon points. Coming into the second boss, we also grabbed the Electro Crawler sub-weapon for Dominique, and we're going to use that to good effect on this boss. Somewhat, for reasons we still do not understand. There are some weird invisible hitboxes that get hit by these electric balls even as they're off screen, which do more damage than they should, and that might be a PB boss kill for me. I don't know that I've ever gotten that many extra hits. I've got my splits running over here, so we'll be able to see if that's a gold split or not. Speaking of splits, shout out to Captain Brian, who's a active member of the Bloodstained various speedrunning communities. He has done a tremendous amount of work, from the auto splitter to an entire database of all of the information and values about this game, to programming a EC trainer for Curse of the Moon 1 and Curse of the Moon 2. If you're ever just looking for a new run, these games have a lot of accessibility due to the generous amount of work put in by Brian. So shout out to Brian and everybody else that finds a way to contribute to their speedrunning communities, whether it be in runs or supporting folks on commentary, doing research, creating tools, whatever it is that you might contribute. There are a lot of ways to be involved, especially when we're raising money for a great cause like the Canadian Cancer Society. We've got our third companion now, goes by the name of Robert, and he has a big gun. It is the most notable thing about him. He does a few more things though. He can wall jump, and also for whatever reason he's the only one that can crawl, which I kind of enjoy when video games give one character something that's unique that is seemingly very mundane. Like, oh yeah, Robert can crawl. Nobody else can crawl, but Robert can. We're going to see a mix of Robert and Dominique through most of this level. Zangetsu, until later on, really doesn't serve much of a purpose in the platforming sections. Doesn't serve much purpose on some of the bosses either, but he does the most base damage. About the only thing he's got going for him through the first 4 levels. We're going to swap back and forth between... Oh, I missed one. We're just going to go slow here so we don't fall and die. We're going to swap back and forth between Robert and Dominique. Pick up this permanent life upgrade. So you've probably noticed these lanterns that I've been kind of selectively destroying. They are different colored, and which is a nice addition to this game. Curse of the Moon 1, they were just kind of all the same color. You had to know what was where when. But these yellow and orange lanterns always drop either points or sub-weapon. Oh, I need to be careful here. Okay, they either drop sub-weapon points or just like score points. The pink lanterns always drop health, and the blue and purple lanterns will drop sub-weapons. And each blue and purple lantern has a primary drop and a secondary drop. So depending on what sub-weapon I have, I always know what each purple lantern is going to drop. So we can really situate ourselves however we would like to coming up to the bosses. And this is the Gladiator Dozer. I'm going to take 2 damage boosts here and hopefully get the fast 1 cycle. And use this big gun. And that is a quick kill. I really enjoy the boss fights in these games. We're pretty consistent on quick kills for most of the bosses. There's going to be a couple later on that are a little more RNG heavy. Personally, I would prefer those RNG heavy bosses to be at the beginning of a run and not at the end, but you know, a great game is a great game regardless. So now we've got our last companion, who I've been talking about all run, who is Hachi. He is a corgi who drives an enchanted mech suit, or he's an enchanted dog that drives a normal mech suit. One of those two things is right. And we're going to see a lot of Hachi in this next level. Hachi can hover. He's got the highest base attack damage. He's the only character we're going to get that can break armor and walls. He gets the little spiky feet when he's walking on the ice, so he doesn't slide around. He basically does everything. And the developers also kind of joked about it in their... some of the talks they did about this game when it released, that they kept adding things to Hachi, and at some point they were like, you know, he's a little bit too overpowered. And their response was, oh well. We're going to see a lot of what Hachi can do here. Some of it is just convenience, you know, being able to hover since all the characters move at the same speed. The using Hachi as just the safest and most comfortable character is the reason we're on him a lot of times. Now I am going to swap to use Robert's big gun to slide across the ice, because that's fun and also fast. And we'll still be using Dominique with her some of her platforming abilities. And that lance she has give a lot of vertical movement. One of the more resource intensive levels because we are shooting this gun a lot, and that gun takes a lot of weapon points. You know, typically routing wise, it's always going to be the same. You're going to get the same drops. So you can typically always plan out what abilities you're going to use when. Sometimes, you know, bad luck, bad placement, I'll miss a drop or two. But most of the marathon strats, at least, have enough wiggle room that we're not going to run out of juice when we need it most. I talked about playing with Hachi quite a bit. The one thing that kind of changes that is that when we switch characters, the screen kind of freezes for, it's roughly a half a second, depending on if you're just, you know, swapping to one character or you're swapping between like 2 or 3 characters. And so a lot of the routing does take into consideration, you know, what character am I on? You know, there are some places where you can optimize something as a different character, but if that means swapping to and from that character, it costs you time just to swap. So there are places where, you know, the platforming of the route might be a tiny bit suboptimal, but because we're not swapping characters all the time, it becomes the optimal strat. On to the 4th boss. Is also familiar if you've played Ritual of the Night. I believe she is the level 1 boss in Ritual of the Night. It wouldn't be a Castlevania game if nobody actually died and the points don't matter. But we buffed Hachi with Zangetsu's Demon Essence, increases base damage a little bit. And it's a little bit faster to start with Zangetsu here, but the slippery ice can lead to a lot of unfortunate falls off these platforms. So it's safer for Marathon's sake to pick on Hachi here. I'm going to buff him again with Zangetsu. And Hachi is faster for this section because he is a big chunky robot and gets double hits on the boss right here. So we're just going to take advantage of that. Switch to Robert, finish off with the big gun. And we are moving on to stage 5. You might have noticed most of these bosses have kind of what we call a desperation attack at the end. But on the casual and veteran difficulties, those attacks can damage you but will not kill you. So Zangetsu is going to finally become quite a bit more useful now because we have found a sword. So this sword is going to upgrade all of Zangetsu's abilities, and he's going to do even more damage. And the sword's going to give him kind of a combo. So we're going to see that right off the bat. His whip is now explosive. The sword has kind of like a crescent moon slash, if you will. The charm he throws has a big pillar of flame. Alright, I'm going to take the safe strat here. Well, I was going to take the safe strat. Going to do this and show that first room again. Now I have to take the safe strat. This is the stage that if the wheels start to fall off, this is where it happens. But we will reel this back in. Better for me to just restart things there than try to manage without all of the tools I'm used to. Gotta press up to grab those stairs, which is what I missed. So I could have continued on there without Zangetsu for most of this level. But for Marathon's sake, I'd like to be at least a little bit safer. And mostly that is because I'm also going to have to go over here and get this That's mostly because whenever you lose one character, a lot of things change. I can sub in other people for Zangetsu. He doesn't have very unique platforming. But the big challenge, RTA, is that if I'm swapping from Achi to Dominique, I'm used to moving 2 places, left or right. I use the left and right bumper to swap characters. And so if a character is dead and you can't swap to them, now all of that muscle memory is thrown out of whack. So definitely don't want to be in too awkward of a position. These fireballs are a little bit off. But we can retry from any of these checkpoints we grab, which are the candles that will pop up and light up as we pass them. Which is a nice little bit whenever you're playing this game casually or maybe learning the speed run. The one downside to retrying is that everybody swaps back to their default sub-weapon. So I'm going to slowly kind of re-grab what I want on all the characters, which is, it's convenient that I already have most of what I want. Or this is also a level that you just kind of, I'm going to naturally pick up different new sub-weapons. So stage 5 being one of the harder stages, it's kind of smoothed out because what you lose you can easily regain. And we're also going to get another permanent life upgrade right before the boss, and that acts as kind of a group heal. Normally whenever we're picking up hearts, it only affects the person you pick it up with, but these permanent upgrades give everybody a boost. The last thing we should need is to get Robert his big gun back, which should be right there. Just gonna do a couple damage boosts, get to the boss. Gonna hope for good RNG. This boss has quite a bit of RNG. It doesn't change kind of the optimal time to the suboptimal time. Is not a giant difference compared to a couple of the other bosses, so we're going to try to hope for some good RNG and see how it goes. It's going to come either out of the top or the bottom. Top is slow. And then when he comes out of the lava is variable between... That's the quickest. Count the number of times that the screen rumbles. And he gave us his head here, which is the fast thing. He could also give us his tail, but it was a slow, fast. I'll take it. Want to end on Dominique here because that's who we need to start the next level with. And we're making pretty good time, pretty good process. Need to make sure not to be in the lava here because the level will not end if you're taking damage. So just sit there infinitely. Moving on to stage 6 out of 8. This is one of my, well, I'm not going to compliment the level before we at least get through some hard parts. I really like the music in this level. I really like the music in all of these levels, but this one particularly is sticks in my brain. I'm gonna ride this mimic down. It's one of the more enjoyable shortcuts to take. And, riding a crab chest mimic dude off into the sunset. That was also one of the ones that until you figure out how to do that or you see somebody else do that, how to get this shortcut is really kind of like a mystery. It's like it's specifically designed to, well, it's specifically designed so that you have to ride that crab chest. Crab chest kind of looks like it would be Billy speedrun strat. Now that's the level design. taking a couple of safer strats here and there just to make sure we get through here in good time. We're going to have a couple of neat kind of team up sequences coming up. One right up here with Robert and Hachi. We all jump, hover, big gun. There we go. That's kind of that's one of the quintessential Curse of the Moon sequences, if you will. Using a couple different characters, swapping back and forth, utilizing multiple different sub-weapons, and kind of just base platforming attributes. You know, that one only saves a couple of seconds, but it's really neat and it's fun. So we will get to a couple of those type sequences that save. I think the big one in stage 7 saves like a minute and a half, maybe more. So it's something that's kind of unique in this game because there are lots of like secondary paths, and there were in Curse of the Moon 1 as well. Curse of the Moon 2 has a bit more because this game is designed with 4 different episodes, and most of those episodes follow the same. You're playing through the same levels. You've got different characters, harder bosses, you have different characters at different times. So all of the levels are designed with multiple routes and different rooms that you're really only going to see when you're playing through as different characters. But with the speedrun, we're making every use of basically any room we can reach. A lot of the rooms we're reaching in this run, you're not designed to be able to reach in this run. So it really makes for a unique speedrun, especially routing it and such. And we just got good RNG there, and I threw it away by falling off the pillar. But now we can see a little bit more of this boss, which everybody loves. We need to... This will be a 2 cycle, but not too bad. Here, going into stage 7. You never want to have good RNG on a Titan Common on a suboptimal run, because then you just feel bad. Alright, finished up there. This is the major source of RNG in the run, especially for, you know, like pushing world record pace. The quick kill for him is quick, and anything else is noticeably slower. The pillars always come up in the same positions, but the boss pattern is RNG where he'll move at the same time, but where he moves is random. Alright, stage 7, Muted Cries. I'm going to try to get through here without too many cries of our own. I'm sure that joke has never been made. And we're going to grab an armor upgrade here, which kind of, I think, my PV and most of the top times in this game. There's a couple of upgrades that we skip. I think one of the health upgrades and that armor upgrade is what typically gets skipped. Kind of a mix between, you know, how long does it take to get an upgrade and can you actually use that? And with the health and the armor, the answer is definitely yes. There are, you know, lots of damage boosts and the potential for damage boosts through these stages. So it's not just a, oh, well, I don't want to die situation. I think we get away with just one health upgrade and kind of like the optimal speed run. I'm sure that joke was completely original. Nobody's actually, that was the first time anybody's ever made a pun on the internet. Pretty sure. Alright, so we're going to grab the Cyclone ability right there, and we're on a decent cycle with these platforms. The way these platforms work is pretty unique. We kind of knew they were on some kind of global cycle. It turns out that they don't start... They start at like some weird time based on like when you turn on the game. It's not actually when you turn on the game, but it's something other than like you would think. It's like, oh, loading in the level is when they start. It's not. It might be like when you start a run. It's another big team up here, and we've got it. Let's go. If it weren't 6:30 in the morning, I'd be a little bit more hyped for some of these big tricks, but y'all can make up the hype for me. That one is the trick that saves at least a minute and a half, so definitely worth some hype. And we're gonna get in here with Zangetsu and his Demon Essence. This is the other major point of RNG, which if you played Curse of the Moon 1, you know this boss is Grimory. He's back. I'm gonna assume those armors are not driven by dogs because I don't want to reconcile with destroying other dogs this early in the morning. Alright, so we can't control where Grimory's gonna go or what she's gonna do. So we're just going to swap to Hachi and be invincible. This is a little bit suboptimal. This is about when she should be dead. So we're losing about 10 seconds there, but staying alive and being safe for Marathon's sake is optimal. You also notice Hachi gets like, when he hovers, he gets like a little jet wing and his feet turn into jet engines. When he crouches and rolls, he's like a little train with wheels. Hachi really is the best. You can play this episode as a single character. Excuse me. You can unlock single mode in this game, so you can play as any of the 7 characters. And yes, I said it, 7. 7 for the price of 1 game. Who would have thought? But all of the old Curse of the Moon 1 characters are also in this game. And so you eventually unlock them, spoiler alert, and you can play through all of these levels as any individual character. Some of the single runs are fun. They don't really do it for me because really being able to optimize your routing and team up through the game is one of the things I like most about it. So, but we are on to stage 8, which is the final stage. And what Castlevania game would be complete without a complete bitrate killing, rain, bug infested? Oh, there's Robert. Robert decided to slide down into the pit instead of jump the gap, so we're going to say bye to Robert for a bit. But we will see Robert again, don't you worry. He's a couple of strats we're going to miss out on because we don't have Robert, but we can revive him at the end. And he is the least important member of our crew. I now have the added difficulty of trying to, on the fly, not accidentally skip over the character because I think I've got Robert still. Alright. We made it to the first of 2 climbs. We're good on life, we're good on weapon points. So we're just going to kind of face tank a couple things as Hachi uses invincibility to swing over here. And we're going to use the pogo. Just kind of walk now, no fear. Dominique's got this covered. Alright, that was a really good climb 1. do a little bit more damage boosting here. All of this we could still fit in. I think just barely if we didn't have all of the upgrades. I think stage 8 is the big factor as to why we get the 1 health upgrade we do, because there's a lot of stuff that's just faster to be able to damage boost through. So we're gonna grab a little bit more weapon here. Swap over to Dominique, and it is her time to shine as we just pogo all the way up entire tower. And if you're thinking to yourself, man, this looks like it'd be really hard if you didn't do exactly this strat, welcome to me on my first, second, third, fourth, and fifth playthroughs. Alright, so we're coming up to the final boss sequence, but we do want to end with Robert, because he's the only one that can one cycle of the final stage. Luckily, Dominique gets a revive spell. I'm going to get Robert back here. Grab his Rapid Scarf, which you might think, you know, that's like a bandana or a handkerchief. Definitely the Rapid Scarf. Going to top up on weapon points here. And we're into the last boss for this episode, Beelzebub. It'll be a 2-stage boss. For the second stage, you'll see the health bar down at the bottom, and time will stop when the health bar reaches 0. Come over here, whack him with Zangetsu's big sword. This boss is not RNG at all, other than this part. How he splits and runs. We want him to spawn on this platform. Want to get on the other side of it. So now he's definitely a smart boss. Definitely not taking advantage of his AI. Alright, so phase 2 is coming up. We're going to get in a very specific position with Robert, and we're going to shoot the boss a lot. The Rapid Scarf we've seen once before. You can hold down to shoot fast with the Rapid Scarf. I'll talk about it when we get in position here. Alright, Robert. Well, we might not make the cycle, but you can hold down and shoot once every 11 frames. If you mash, you can get it off once every 10 frames. I don't know if we're going to end. Time is... Oh, man. Talk about getting jebaited. Yeah, it's a really tight 1 cycle. We just missed it. But time will be very soon, maybe like right now. Alright. That is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon 2, Episode 1, Normal Veteran. Oh, we got in at under 37 minutes. That's not terribly bad. I had a couple deaths, missed that fast cycle right there. So I will take it in a marathon every day of the week. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I am DanTheVP. I do a lot of indie games and speedruns. So if you want to check me out, I'm live on Twitch a few days a week. Shout out to Strizer and everybody at Game Over Cancer. We got some more runs coming up, I know. I haven't really looked at the schedule for today. I'm sure there will be things to look forward to. Always a stacked... Oh man, there's Hades today. That's good. Lunchtime Hades, that's what I'm looking forward to. So, I think that's good for me. I think we've got Panzer Dave coming up next with some more video games. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the hype and chat. And I will see y'all at Game Over Cancer Fall 2022.
Yeah, that was great. We've got more great stuff coming up next. We do indeed have Panzer Dave coming up, playing Swords and Serpents.